What's up, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's time to elevate and thrive, and I am here with the one and only, the incredible Dr. Angela Yeagley. Hello.
What's up, Barry? And thank you so much. Back at you. I'm excited about today's topic.
Yeah, I am too. We're going to talk about recovering from getting sick, basically, from illness and stuff. And this is timely because just a few weeks ago, I was struck down by the COVID, and I have been recovering. And it was, I had my own kind of crazy COVID experience, but it was, it was pretty significant. I was hospitalized for not anything that people would normally think of when they think of COVID. I had a blood reaction, right? And the COVID caused my body to smash my platelets to smithereens. So
and I just want to point out, very, very rare. Like, it's a very rare thing, but still, it was like a definite, drain on your body, like to have that experience.
Absolutely, and I was totally wiped out. And like many people who have gone through COVID, I mean, it was intense, right? And today isn't just about COVID. It's just about it's about recovering from any of those types of sicknesses, and flu, anything bad cold, pneumonia or something, right? Because you come out the other end of an experience like that, and you're weakened. You feel weakened. You feel extreme fatigue or extremely tired and just frail and fragile and low energy and all of those kinds of things. Yes. And there's ways to speed up that recovery process.
Yeah, absolutely. And and again, like as you mentioned, a lot of times it is viral. Some of the things that we haven't seen in a while, like flus, are coming back now. Colds aren't so much. You don't really need a whole lot of recovery.
They don't wipe you out.
They don't wipe you out usually.
It's a couple days and you're back at it.
You should be coming in if it wipes you out. But you do get things like people still get mono. So really, and that we might want to address longer, bigger, like for.
I got pneumonia last year. That also I had to go to the hospital for that because it got so bad.
That was huge too.
That was huge.
And this is part of, for you, this is like, we could talk a little bit about your journey. And also I'm decided that this is my year of self-care as well. And not that I had anything huge or major, but it was like all the things that I know about, like I realized I'm not doing as consistently as I should to take care of myself. And I know, right? I deserve that. Totally.
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, knowing and doing are two different things, right? And even in your position as a physician, it's also finding the time, and working it in. And you're extremely busy, and so it's getting those self-care routines in, whether that's IV nutrient therapy, which we're going to talk about on today's show, whether it's stuff like a glutathione push, which we've talked about in the past.
Love.
I'm waiting for after we record here, waiting for my glutathione
with bated breath. We'll say it's not unfair to say maybe like your new favorite. Like,
it's my new favorite.
Yeah.
I got into a debate with another doctor about glutathione yesterday. I was going to tell you about this. I'll save it for another show, another story.
Okay.
But it was a good debate around whether glutathione is worth taking. And I said, listen to me. I'm telling you, when you get it when you get a push and it's an IV situation, and you get the dosage that I get, it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
I said, so without question, it's incredible.
Absolutely. And this is an interesting conversation. I know this was with a PhD geneticist, right?
It was with a PhD geneticist.
So I'm really, I would like to hear what she had to say. But we know, like in our own personal experience, and then I would say, along with what I see with, hundreds over thousands of patients over time.
Millions.
That's the goal. That it's incredible. And I wonder, I guess we can add that in like at that when we're talking about nutrients, but I feel like it's IV nutrient therapy. I don't know. Maybe do we want to talk about it now?
Let's talk about it now. I mean, IV nutrient therapy. I've been getting it done every week since I got out of the hospital, and since I was not able to kind of go out from the quarantine, COVID quarantine, and but even before that, I think it's an essential, incredible, wonderful thing that even done on a monthly basis can be great. But it was, you were very adamant that we wanted to get in here and get that going post COVID, post being sick, because of the massive benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's on a person by person basis. In your situation, you are coming out of the hospital. One, you have all these different exposures while you're there. Two, you just went through a major ordeal and your body, needs a lot of energy to repair what just happened. So it makes sense. But say, even if we're dealing with somebody who had significant COVID or a flu, something like that, they didn't end up in the hospital, but now they're tired, still very relevant. And we find, consistent use of that IV vitamin therapy, like a high dose IV vitamin C. We always want to put in minerals. We call them the vitamin cofactors, right? That help your body use it. The B vitamins. And then, glutathione is just incredible, like a super antioxidant that, the brain loves, the lungs love it, the liver loves it. It pretty much almost like helps every single area in the body, maybe besides feet. I don't know. Probably still helps feet too.
If there was a super soldier serum, it would definitely have some glutathione in it. Right. I can tell you that right now. Of course, why we love the IV application and the IV methodology is because it can bypass that whole process of the gut digest. When we take, say, a vitamin or a mineral supplement orally, right? Different process, less absorption, there's some loss there. And of course, when you have it intravenously delivered, you're getting all those benefits. It just gets right into your system.
100%. Yeah. Meaning to your point, 100%, but also 100% absorption.
Into the system.
Yeah. Yes. Into the system. Yes.
Double 100%.
Double one. Yes.
200%.
To infinity.
Infinity benefits.
This is good. Write that down. Yes. And the timing, I think, is important too. If people would sometimes say, because they're busy, they're like, can I have one? Well, sure. But really, it's ideally when you're recovering from something, we're going to do I would recommend one a week, for 8 to 10 weeks. Or if it's really bad, if you're really struggling and you really got knocked down, sometimes people in the beginning will come in twice a week, for a month or so, and then flip over, we'll go once a week. And then we just kind of keep an eye on you and go, okay, are there things we need to be measuring, or how are you feeling, right? Do you feel like you're back on track? All of that. So it is individual, but I would say it's typically always going to be, if we feel like IV nutrient therapy is indicated, it's going to be let's do a series of these, because you're going to get your most benefit that way, right? As opposed to just having one treatment. Like
anything, a one and done is less, there's no value there, but the real value comes in a series, right? And really looking at it as a series, a treatment series, and kind of going through that process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's anything, right? One of the things I think that we want to probably talk about is some lifestyle choices, right? Some simple things we can do at home, whether that's looking at our nutrition or looking at other lifestyle factors like sleep or movement. These are things that if you have, so for instance, nutrition, if you clean your nutrition up and you're eating really phenomenal, rich, whole foods, rich in all kinds of micronutrients, and you do that one day, good for you on that day. Good for you on that day. That is not to demean that day.
Yeah, that's a great day.
It is not to say that, if you go back to a less than ideal or a low nutrition diet, hitting those Takis, eating the Dick's burgers, then the benefit isn't going to accrue, right? So we know that. It's consistency.
Yeah,
is so
absolutely.
Key.
And I would say, for people who struggle with that, do what you can. Something's
better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So don't give up. It's yes, would every day you getting some nutritionally rich food be preferred? Yes. But if you feel like you're, hey, I did go out and I ate Dick's and I did the drive-through McDonald's for lunch and I did that. It's okay, that was one day, start over the next day, or even the next meal. Let's just start over. Yeah. It's okay.
Or pick one meal that's an easier meal for you to make some upgrades with, and especially coming out of an illness, sometimes your hunger can be really disrupted.
Yes.
So you might have a very low hunger response, and yet there's a need to get some, I would say, some still high quality nutrition in there, but you might have to almost force yourself to have to eat,
that's right.
And or things just don't taste good or the same. So that can be a challenge.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that's where we come back to, if simple is better, then we're talking about maybe a really good protein shake, which is super easy, right?
That's where I was going to say that's an easy upgrade and a great way to start the day.
Yes.
Maybe with some antioxidant berries, blend it up with some unsweetened almond milk and a great plant-based shake. Reset 360 has a great one. That's one of my favorites. I love it.
I was going to say, well, it's our favorite,
okay,
right? Like,
it's
yes,
both of our favorites. It's so good. But that type of thing is an easy upgrade.
Yes.
And even if you're, feeling like your digestion is still kind of ramping back up, that type of, anti-inflammatory, very easily digested type of food is a great upgrade.
Yeah. And so things like I would think about like soups, bone broths are really, really good, and again, easy to consume. Now, I mean, of course, vegetables are always going to be fantastic. But steamed, like if you do feel like you have the energy to, or take the time to even just, steam up some veggies.
Steam some broccoli.
Yeah.
A little soy sauce or lemon on it. Delicious.
Exactly.
But if we're going to be food purists, we wouldn't use the devil soy sauce. We'd use like Bragg's.
Some Bragg's coconut
amino
aminos.
acids. Yeah.
Right. If we're being like Whole 30.
Yeah. Totally hardcore.
Yeah.
But steamed broccoli is really good.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. And really, actually, I would do steamed for a little while just because raw, I mean, great if you really feel up to it, but raw is always going to be a little harder to digest.
It's harder.
Yeah. So steaming or cooking your veggies a little bit lightly, fantastic. I love adding spices. So again, like if we're cooking with turmeric, if we're doing a curry, or I don't know if you remember like the golden milk time when that was super popular, like take your coconut milk or your almond milk, something like that, and add a bunch of turmeric and maybe even some cardamom, kind of like a chai, right? And it becomes this really tasty, yummy drink that's also anti-inflammatory and also really healing for you. Put some ginger in there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah. Or even ginger, fantastic. Good for circulation, has some antioxidants, really helps with digestion, helps you, just kind of break things down. And you can even just cut that root up and like chew on a little bit. Like if we're looking for easy. Right?
Yeah. And let's not miss the obvious, which is water intake too.
Thank you.
That's another one with hydration. Of course, the big hack I always love to share with drinking more water is upgrading what you're drinking your water from. And of course absolutely. there is only one perfect water vessel, and that is the Big Stanley.
Of course.
And so get yourself a Big Stanley. It's the 40 ouncer. You can also get the Travel Stanley, which is like the little baby brother of the Big Stanley. And so
yes.
I like to call it Little Stanley or Travel Stanley is also a phenomenal 30-ounce water container. That makes it much easier to get some more water in because you're just only keeping track of one thing. You can fill it up, put some ice in there if you like that or not, if you have like a water temperature kind of thing. But it's so great.
Yeah, I would say definitely have helped me become a fan of the Stanley. Thank you for that Christmas present.
I'm looking at it right here.
I know. I
right
love my
Stanley.
Stanley.
Big Stanley. It's
and
amazing.
I'm a water drinker. Like I love my water. In fact, like I almost have a little bit of a like water obsession. Like I have to have it.
I love it.
Like I have to have it.
And once you have a Stanley, it just changes everything.
And I think we have to point out, like I don't think you own stock in like Stanley or any.
I don't. I should. I think they're local, and I want to get with them because I'm like their super fan.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah,
I know. I think this is the next
Stanley.
move.
I'm going to get with these guys. We're going to do a tour of. We're
the
take the
Stanley
podcast
manufacturer
to the plant, but let's not derail ourselves.
Okay, we'll check in on that in the future.
What about other lifestyle good choices like sleep?
Well, actually, one thing before we move on to sleep, I do want to talk about sugar. So sugar actually is a huge immune suppressor. So now, like in the future, if you're listening to this because you're recovering, it still makes sense for you to not have sugar, right? But if you get sick again, no sugar, like zero.
About fruit.
Fruit is, if you're really sick, fruit is even iffy because of the fructose. Just because like a teaspoon of sugar will suppress your immune system for 12 hours. So, and that's your standard cane sugar. So of course, I mean, fruit, berries are fantastic in their polyphenols, all their antioxidants. I mean, so good for you. But I mean, in the height of sickness, I would avoid it.
But what about wine? You could probably drink wine. because that's like fruit
full
that's
of
been fermented.
polyphenols and
Yeah, so that's good then, because for like fermented is good. So right, you can,
I think only if you're European, then
if
you're
you're
okay to have
okay.
like a glass of wine at night.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you have to cut it out.
yeah,
while you're sick.
also can have an impact on your immune system.
Yeah, it can. Alcohol in general. Yeah. So if you're actively sick or you're recovering and you don't feel great, sorry, Barry. I think
Try to
I
dial
think
it down. Try to cut it out.
I would say maybe not do it for just just a
Give it a break.
smidge of time. Yes.
What about exercise? Because I think that a lot of people think that they want to get some exercise in if they're hardcore, and there's even some thought out there that maybe some movement can be good. And what I found personally is that a little bit of like sometimes walking and some light general like movement, just basically walking outside, getting some fresh air, all of that can feel beneficial if you feel up for it.
Yeah.
But I've also seen and also personally experienced where I've pushed too hard, too fast on the back end of a recovery and had a little bit of a setback.
Yeah.
And felt like I pushed it too hard. I used energy that I didn't really have, or I stole that energy.
Because you had a day, you're like, I'm feeling better.
Yeah, I'm feeling better.
I'm ready.
I'm going to go for a workout. I'm going to go push myself or go for a run or something, and then pay a price for the next 3 days afterwards, because it's like kind of like stole that energy from my immune system.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're actively sick, I mean, maybe walking would be it. Like if you felt up for it, otherwise, I mean, if you feel like you have to push yourself to walk because your body's fighting off something, like, then just don't do it.
It's
I mean,
okay
you're
to not
pulling,
do it.
it's okay not to do it. Yeah.
It's okay. Don't do it. Take a break.
You're pulling energy from a place that it doesn't need to be pulled from. And then I think you have to play it by ear. Like after that, like I think you just, listen to your body.
Listen to your body and give yourself permission to not be hardcore or not push yourself or not do the things you normally do.
Yeah. Right.
Let's say you love to do, hikes, or you like to get on the treadmill and, push your runs really fast. It's okay. Just, if you're feeling like I have a little bit of energy, I'm feeling like I'm up for like a light walk, just keep it a light walk.
Absolutely.
You don't have to set a record. You don't have to, but just listen, trust yourself, and err on the side, I would say, of giving yourself a little more space, right?
I totally agree. Give yourself that permission.
Yes.
I think that's what it is. Like, of just, allow yourself to rest. You'll make it up, right? Like once you save that energy, you're going to recover faster. And then, hopefully within a couple of weeks, you're ready to go again, and push it, right?
Totally.
Be hardcore. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Great point. So I think you had mentioned sleep is kind of another thing. And, sleep is always going to be fantastic for healing. We release most of our growth hormone during that time. So almost all of it actually is when we're sleeping. And so growth hormone is going to just repair every area of your body. And so, so one thing we know now, with support of the immune system, if you have the flu or any other virus, that one of the things we use, when you're actively sick, is to go higher dose on the melatonin. So you could still do that, once you're in quote recovery, right? Even if you don't normally take melatonin, because it actually it's a really good fat soluble antioxidant, and so that's why, in the integrative cancer centers, they use it for remission and prevention or reoccurrence of cancer, especially hormone related ones. And the dosing there is 20 to 60 milligrams. That's a lot, but just kind of shows you the power of your melatonin, right? Your own personal melatonin of sleep. And then also if you're taking some melatonin. So I would recommend that, especially if you're I am still run down, or if we're looking at a long haul COVID, take some melatonin at night, somewhere between 3 to 10 milligrams is great. And then we have a whole other, I feel like we just did a really nice talk about sleep on our Energy Killer podcast. So I would check that out.
Totally.
We really dove into that.
Dove into sleep.
We really did. We did it. I would say we did a really good job.
Go back and check that out. Listen to that episode. That'll definitely give you some great insights into improving your sleep. But sleep, back to permission, give yourself permission to get more sleep, stay in bed longer.
Yes.
Yeah. And do all the things necessary to help yourself get to sleep, stay to sleep, because it is very healing and restorative.
Absolutely. Yes. And so should we dive into, maybe we talk a little bit about, the gut. And I think that ties back into food and just, this probably is a bigger topic in the sense that, like, if you did have gut disruption, which I'm seeing a lot now with COVID, actually people have like gut upset as well, where they get like cramping and loose stool. Like, a lot of people don't think of that with COVID, but I would say probably it seems like 70% of people have that as an additional symptom. And so I'd probably just do, unless you have like a SIBO or overgrowth, I'd probably just do like a really good probiotic, like for recovery, because that usually, if there's still any looseness, that'll help to firm things up again, kind of get your gut reset again, and then you only probably, if you weren't taking it before for any reason, just do it for a couple months.
Yeah, I was going to say that maybe is beneficial for a certain period of time. Anyways.
Yeah, and then that's where also like the bone broth comes back in. It's also for gut health as well in the immune system. So, other
supplements or things that we kind of think of. I know we mentioned the IV nutrient therapy. We talked about melatonin here a little bit. Talking about a probiotic or prebiotic. Anything else that you kind of look at getting in the mix? We talked a little bit about turmeric, about the golden tea, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So coming back to vitamins themselves, oral. So vitamin D for sure. We need to optimize that. I would be on a minimum of a 10,000. And then if you're worried about long-term, just come in and get your levels tested. Because I would want to see around 70 to 80 in your blood. And then I would support just some recovery. Make sure you get some vitamin A, that you're doing probably a higher dose vitamin C. And that's like 3,000 at least a day. Vitamin A at least 5, probably looking at 10, and
so some aggressive. Aggressive, or more, or
we're
definitely
still doing more like higher dose,
right?
Yes.
That's where I think with the vitamin, ideally you'd be coming in, and we would just have you on a series of IV nutrient vitamin therapy, and then you could kind of skip some of this other stuff.
You could, just depending on how. Like some people do both, just because they are like, oh, I think it's I like it. I like doing something every day, But if that's not what you're inclined to do, that's okay.
Or if you're just doing some oral supplementation, I think the key takeaway here is recognizing that your dosing and your recovery dosing might be more. A stronger dose than if you're
it's
just
not for like some of the forever doses, and sometimes it is depending on what you're dealing with, if you have chronic mono, things like that, but a lot of times it's just like for the next depending on how bad it was, 3 to 8 weeks, something like that. I also, zinc is now, everybody is using zinc for prevention, for viruses. So I would say probably at least somewhere between a 25 to 50 is great. With food, can be upsetting to your stomach. So, and you want to balance that out. If you're using it, if you're one of those people who's using a lot of zinc over the long term as a preventative, you have to balance it out with copper. So there has to be some copper in there. It's like 10% copper is what you do.
It's
with
a puzzle.
It's
a
that's
puzzle.
why we were like, just come in.
Yeah, and that's why. So I mean, the good segue here is like, when it comes to really creating a personalized program with your supplements and knowing the right kind, the quantity, the quality, that's where it's great to have a guide, because it's just very confusing and it's very overwhelming, and you could be missing out on some of the benefits of a proper supplementation plan. If you're just kind of doing some stuff intermittently.
If you're making it,
kind of making it up as you go based on maybe a good article you read in Oprah magazine or something. There's a better way.
I agree. Absolutely.
There's a better way.
I would like, if you're listening to this, I want to see you.
Yeah, come in. And I mean, if you go, even the next level would be, getting some genetic testing done and understanding kind of nutraceuticals and like how basically your body is set up to either need more support or less support in certain areas. And the amount of testing we can do, the genetic profiling that can give us insights is pretty incredible. So the true promise of the genetics is there now. And just to give a quick example, like we've talked about MTHFR for B vitamins, or there is actually a glutathione mutation. So pulling it back full circle to our glutathione, like there are a couple of mutations in those that if you have them, your requirement for glutathione is just going to be way higher than somebody. I'm curious if I have those.
I totally want you to get that. that testing.
Be very interesting.
I am so curious. You
Yeah.
have to do it like right away.
I want to. I'm going to do it right away.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be
Soon.
interesting to see because what would you assume that you maybe have the mutation or
I
you
don't know. I mean, if I have the mutation, that would maybe that
So,
would
I mean, your
explain why
need
I
is
love the
higher.
glutathione
Yeah.
so much,
Yeah.
and maybe I can feel such a tremendous difference. Is maybe that like pushes me over, brings me up to baseline and above, and I can really feel it. Maybe that way, I guess, would make sense. But
That's what I guess.
Yeah, that
that's
would be
what I
your
would
guess.
guess. I
All
would
right.
guess you have a mutation in both.
we will let the world know when we get the genetic
We've got some
testing
follow up
done.
stuff to do here. Yeah, after I've done mine, but I need to run it through. I'd like to do it in the one that we're talking about, the other genetic panel. So we'll get back to everybody.
We'll get back with results on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, bottom line is, if you're kind of in that process, or if you've gone through a serious, that serious kind of sickness, and you're in recovery mode, a lot of the stuff we talked about here, you can just put in play at home. But if you do feel like you need some more help or more support, or you want to explore some of these therapies that we talked about today, or really get a more personalized program, it can absolutely speed up your recovery and also set you up for a stronger, more resilient self as you move forward. Because sickness happens.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen,
Yes.
and you're going to get sick. Part of it, though, is getting back to normal as quickly as possible, right? And then it's also becoming as resilient and as strong as possible moving forward, so that we get sick less often, and when we do, it's less severe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, as always. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you have questions, or you need help, or you want to partner up, just give us a call. Come in. Otherwise, stay well, recover quickly, try some of this stuff out, and we will see you on the next show.
We'll see you next time.
All right. Chat later.
Bye.
Bye.